Hello, everybody. It has been what feels like forever since I've done a podcast episode, and I'm so excited to be back talking with all of you guys. And I wanted to just really make this a grounding touch base episode. It's just me, myself, and I, and anyone listening. And I just wanted to reflect on the last 6, 7 months, or most of 2024, I guess. And the last episode I did was actually March 1st of this year. So I just wanted to create this as a way of coming back into this world and sharing what I've been up to the last few months, most of this year, and share what's to come. I'm really excited and looking forward to a lot of exciting projects and things that I'm working on. And yeah, I am excited to create this episode and to touch base with you guys. So, in reflecting on this year, I have realized that a lot of people have found 2024 to be a little bit of a struggle. And if it hasn't for you, that's amazing. That's awesome. For myself, I wouldn't necessarily say a struggle, but I feel like it was kind of those moments of like treading water, and it feels like you're not really getting where you want to be or moving forward at the pace that you want to move forward. And I always consider all of the blessings in my life to be true blessings, and I'm so grateful and thankful for everything that I have. So I don't take any of that for granted, but I can't help but feel a little bit stagnant this year in certain things that I wanted to do or accomplish in certain ways, but I'm not holding that against me. And a lot of it, which I'm learning and I'm going to explain and get into, is just trusting and leaning into the trust and knowing that as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other and moving at your own pace and just really trusting your intuition on where you want to be guided and led, that you can't go wrong and that you just need to trust that. It's also occurring to me that this is the first podcast episode that I'm recording in my new apartment. So to catch you guys up to speed, at the beginning of this year, I actually started a new job in January, which took some acclimating, as does any new change or job. And then in May, I very quickly and spontaneously moved to a new city, still in Los Angeles, just a different part. But that took a lot of personal time and personal energy just moving, and it's never easy trying to find an apartment, and especially kind of on a whim. I wasn't sure where I wanted to be and what I was looking for exactly, but just kind of scoured through and found the perfect place. I'm actually really, really happy with where I'm at now. It's a single bedroom and I love the area, but it has taken a lot of time just getting used to that with the new job, and that has really taken over most of my year, to be honest. Earlier this year, I could kind of feel myself being pulled away from this whole world. And when I speak of this world, I mean like the podcast, the energy work. I'm very in love with meditation and just different forms of like divination, mysticism, the paranormal, like all of this. I love studying different forms of it, and especially my ghost hunts, I love that. But I just was like losing interest, and this isn't the first time this happens. I'm noticing that it's a cycle that continues to come up, and just leaning into that and trusting that. I think it's important to have a balance, especially as a Libra. That's something that I really thrive on, is finding a balance of things within my life. And I think at that time, just with all of the changes going on in the real world, I was so caught off guard, and I just needed to ground in my space that this whole world was the last thing that I wanted to worry about or think about. So I just trusted that, and then for up until probably September, honestly, I've been really unplugged from this, to the extent of if someone was talking about even like a ghost story or maybe something that happened to them, I wasn't even as excited as what I normally would be or lit up about it. I was just like, I don't know. It was like it wasn't me. And it was okay because I knew that this would come back, that I would find that passion again that I have for this work and this world. This is really like the baseline of what I love on a deep soul level, is interviewing different energy workers and psychics and healers on my podcast, and just learning different modalities of healing, whether it's the sound healing or everything with the esoteric and the paranormal. Like, I just love all of this so much that I know that it comes and it goes, but it's about trusting the cycle and knowing and kind of tuning into when you can dedicate your time to it and when you can't. And for me, it's very much like I'm 100% in, like I can't stop watching and listening to all the podcasts, reading the books, or I'm totally like unplugged, like not thinking about it, not watching it. And this typically will last for like months at a time. So it just really depends where I'm at and kind of what's going on. But I'm so excited to be back in it. Like I said, in September, I kind of was able to ground and recenter myself, and my interest just like popped right back into it. So I'm excited to be here. And then also to catch you guys up, at the end of last year, and I don't know exactly what prompted this, but I really felt drawn to studying hypnosis, specifically the QHHT past life hypnosis, which I'm going to get into deeper on another episode because I have a lot that I want to share. I did my first session with someone who was in my course, and it was really intense in the best way, and I'm really surprised by what came up, and I'm honoring it, and it feels really good to kind of sit with it. And that's why I'm waiting a little bit longer to kind of make an episode on that, just because I want to see what else comes up based off of what my experience was. And I'll definitely share that because that's something that I am recently, within the past year, feeling super drawn to. And like I said, it's QHHT. A woman named Dolores Cannon developed this specific form of hypnosis. And I've personally conducted 4 sessions myself as the practitioner. I've had 4 separate clients, and it's been such an awesome experience. And I feel so drawn to this work on a soul level that I'm really excited to share what's ahead. But like I said, I'm going to save that for the next episode. But getting back to the cycles and really just trusting how you feel in that moment and what comes up, it reminded me of a course that I took a couple years ago with Tall from the Den. And it was a shamanism course. And one of the main points that we focused on was trusting the cycles of wherever you're at in life, and really just honoring it and kind of moving through in a synchronistic way. So one activity that we did in this course that I wanted to share that I found to be really powerful was creating a timeline of your life, and notice within your personal life when certain events seem to occur. They happen, at least for myself, I'd say on a cycle. If you have a piece of paper, draw a long line and make dashes for different years. You can start when you were born, or I would even suggest maybe like 8 or 10, because earlier it's not really relevant in this case. But 8 or 10, make a dash for every year. And on this timeline, notice or write in when you have these special life events. So one can be a job change, when you notice that you change jobs, and put down what year. So for each year, whether it's 2015, 2016, 2017, when you started a job and when you change it to another job. Another point is moving. So notate that whenever you moved cities or apartments, put that down. Another one is health. If there have been any changes in your health, put that down. And then the last one is love or relationships. And that could be any form of any significant relationship in your life. Put that down. And then notice what cycles seem to appear over and over. And notice how many years and what tends to be the cycles for each of these categories. For me, it was pretty interesting because as I look at it, I would have major life changes which seemed to be like every 3 years. Sometimes it would be like 4 for one or maybe 2 for one, but for the most part it was every 3 years. So you can almost predict when the next one is going to happen, and you can be conscious going into it of certain changes that you'd like to make. And this is interesting because this is your life on a grand scale, the big picture. But taking it to a smaller scale, looking at your life in terms of a year, and look at the cycles that repeat there as well. You can even do it on a smaller scale. And like I said, for me, I notice cycles more on a smaller scale. The large scale was pretty illuminating for me, but the smaller scale is something that I tend to use on a more weekly or monthly basis, looking at what I feel drawn to and what I feel inspired by and certain things that I'm putting my energy towards. So notate that also. I encourage you to write it out for the year and look to see when you feel inspired in certain points. And you could even use the same categories. So job, moving, health, relationship, and look at it on that scale as well. It's really interesting when you start to notice the consistencies within your life, and it varies for everyone. But all in all, this is a point to just say, don't get down on yourself and don't get hard when you realize that you're going through a cycle. That it is something that's an ebb and a flow, and that it's forever changing. So as I've noticed this before, I started looking at this about 2 years ago. So I noticed during this year when I was kind of out of this work that it would be back, that I would be grounded again, and I would be creating podcast episodes again, and I would be going on my ghost investigations. I actually started this podcast, it's over 4 years ago now. It was during COVID that I started, and part of the reason why I love it so much is that it's always there when you need it, and there are times when you need it more than other times, when the work is there and when the work isn't. But it's something that I always feel comfortable coming back to and sharing and really feeling inspired by. One of the quotes when I was making my outline, because this podcast has been in the works for a few months, and when I'd have ideas or downloads, I would just put it in the notes app. One of the quotes that I had put in here, and I don't even know where I got it from, was, "If I were to die tomorrow, what would I have been mad that I didn't accomplish today?" And this is something you should ask yourself too. If you were to die tomorrow, what would you be mad at that you didn't accomplish today? As I've mentioned that I felt really disconnected from this work the last 9 months, there were some instances where I had these deep, profound connections to inspiration. And I'm really curious, this is something that I might make a poll of on Instagram, or just DM me if you guys have any input, where a lot of your jolts of inspiration come from. So for me, I've noticed that I get inspired in very particular instances. Now, I'm not talking just like general inspiration. I'm talking like a download of information. It's like a creative thing that just comes to you like that. And for me, it's very specific. A lot of my inspiration will happen if I'm at the gym, if I'm focused on something, but also doing something else, if that makes sense. So driving a car, for example, I can be in my head while I'm actually operating the car. That doesn't always happen, but sometimes that will. If I'm in the shower, a lot of times things will come through, but mostly it's at the gym. And I don't think it's just the pre-workout, even though that gives me a whole different jolt. but I do tend to get different forms of inspiration that kind of come through very quickly, to where I'll pop open my notes app in my phone and I'll write things down. It's like a stream of consciousness thing. Like you get this information and you have to just write it down or take note of it as quick as you can, because it goes and it's quick. And I'm really curious if anyone else, I'm sure you guys do, have these moments, and what causes them. What state of mind are you in? What is your mood, time of the year? That's something that I was also noticing too. And also, it really is involved with your senses. So for me, are you writing? Are you reading? Are you daydreaming? Are you alone? You can paint this picture so vividly, and it's like talking to your higher self, that this information just comes to you. And it's something that I really find to be special. And like I said, I try to hold on to that moment and really just like write down these ideas when they come. And that's something that has really been like a deeper connection within the last 9 months, that I'd say, to something that kind of just kept me grounded in a typical way that I wouldn't otherwise. In addition to that, I go through phases of being very much into numerology, angel numbers, and lucky numbers. So for the context of this episode, I'm just going to say angel numbers, even though one of my lucky numbers is more of a lucky number and not an angel number. I'll explain what I mean in a second. So earlier this year, in like January or February, I was so overwhelmed with seeing angel numbers everywhere. 111, 222, 333, like everywhere, all day, every day. It was so intense that I loved it, because I love seeing the different angel numbers. And throughout the process, I saw them so often that I was able to assign certain meanings to certain ones for me. So it was actually like speaking a language. For example, 444 is a form of like grounding and deep protection and safety. And that's something that I love to see, as well as 111, like 1111, just being guidance. And you all can assign your own meaning to your angel numbers. But I was seeing it so often that I was texting my friend Nikki, who's also really into this, about her seeing angel numbers, and we'll go through phases or cycles of what we're seeing that day or week or month. And then one of the things that I've developed throughout that process, throughout those couple months, is as soon as I saw one, I would ask the universe, God, my higher self, I would ask for another sign. Basically acknowledging the fact that I saw it, that I'm taking a second to acknowledge it, and then I'm asking for another sign. So it's like saying thank you, and then please show me another one. So you're asking the universe, and that's something that I have also learned, is just to ask for it. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. Come March, come April, it just kind of stopped. And it was okay. Like, I was just living my life. Like I said, I was unplugged, disconnected, moving apartments, living real life. And then all of a sudden again, in August, it started up out of the blue. And instead of angel numbers, it was my lucky number. So I haven't talked about this before, but 37 is a number that has always been so significant to me, and I don't know why. I created an email address when I was young. It was like my first email address. I'm talking like young. Like, I believe it was like associated with my Neopets account. I'm talking like middle school. First, when you create an email or anything online. So I had created this, and for whatever reason, I added 37 at the end of this email address. And it's always been kind of attached to me here or there, and I don't know why. And it's always been a lucky number. And more recently, as I've gotten into this, 37 has always popped up or shown up time and time again. And it's really interesting because it's like I kind of created this lucky number unknowingly when I was young. Let's say 10 years old, I created this number. And I didn't know back then that it was my lucky number. I don't know why I picked that number, but it was like it picked me, or I assigned it. It was this weird relationship between me realizing this number is lucky, me looking back on my life to 20 years ago when I was 10 years old, and just associating that and kind of carrying on that synchronistic relationship. But in August of this year, I was bombarded with 37. And when I'm saying bombarded, it was like 3 or 4 times a day. It was like certain tickets to things, license plates, times, left, right. Like I would say that I would see the number 37 at least 3 to 4 times a day. Like it was obnoxious, but I mean that in the best way possible. I loved it. And like I said, every time I saw it, I took a moment and I asked for it. Please send me another sign. And I take this as a direction. I take this as guidance. I take this as just support and knowing that I'm on the right path and just to keep going. And this is something that I encourage for everyone, whether you see angel numbers or not, or believe in it or not. I say just try it, ask for it. It may not show up right away, but you will be so surprised when you start to notice that a certain number or angel numbers will just start to appear. And also create that relationship by assigning them to certain things. Like I said, 444 is something really symbolic. To me, it means support and safety and guidance and just knowing that you're protected. It's a very protective energy that I have with that number. And 37 is like my ultimate favorite number. Also, I noticed that I can put like a 1 in front of it. The 137, I think, was actually my very first email address, 137, and even that will pop up sometimes. But I've noticed that it's like 37, 137, and just anything with the 3 and the 7 in it. And something else this year that I've noticed with me being a little bit less grounded in this work and less dedicated to my meditation practice and a lot of my self-care energy-wise, is I've felt more sensitivities with certain energies inside my body. I wasn't technically practicing, but in the workplace, for example, I feel like I was much more sensitive on picking up other people's emotions. I've always been an empath, and I never really knew what that was until I started this work. But in the last year, I feel like it kind of grew without me even practicing or without even knowing about it. But I could tell that I was becoming more affected by the people around me. I had taken a course probably 6 or 7 years ago now. It was called Intuitive Healing. There were a couple courses, and it's by one of my favorite teachers and mentors, Catherine Schiff. And within this intuitive healing course, you learn how to navigate your energy field and separate your energy from other people's energy. When you're with the same people day in and day out, you unknowingly pick up a lot of their energy and their vibration. And within this course, you learn tools that you can use, which I use on a daily basis, to help give their energy back to them, and you kind of run your own energy and create your own vibration. And that's a whole nother podcast episode and a whole nother, I could go on for that, about that forever, which I'll have to do sometime. But getting back to it, I have felt more disaligned when it comes to picking up other people's energy. So I would feel upset certain times and I didn't know why, and it was because someone else was upset around me. There was one significant interaction I had with a coworker. We were just in the same room, not even super close, and we were in there for probably 15 or 20 minutes, but I could just feel my chest tightening up and my throat, and whether you want to refer to these as body parts like throat, heart, or the chakras, it's all the same, but I could feel the sensation and just the tightness and the energy in the room, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. that you could feel something so intense just energetically. So I've noticed, although I haven't been practicing, that my sensitivities in this sense had seemed to heighten, which I'm leaning into being a positive thing. I think it just takes the knowing and the understanding of being able to separate this. So if this is something that you can relate to, I highly encourage you to seek out different ways of understanding this and navigating this energetically. Like I said, I took some classes with Catherine, a couple courses, and she teaches classes at the Den, even independently, and her name is Catherine Schiff. I highly encourage that, and just really any form of meditation can help you kind of understand energetically your body on a deeper level. And once you can feel where you hold certain energies, certain pressures or tension, you kind of have this knowing, and you're able to ground and you're able to navigate easier. And when you don't, that's when the problems start. That's when certain illnesses can be created, and you can put up emotional walls. So it's always great to be in tune and to just really understand yourself on a deeper level energetically. Now, one thing that also came up was I really haven't had an emotional release much at all this year. And by that, I mean crying. I am not a huge crier. I don't cry very often, but in the past, there are times to where I have, and I don't exactly remember significant situations. I just know that I have, like everyone has. But this year, I really haven't, and I, in the back of my head, think that there's some energetic barrier, or I haven't been able to really just like cry or release this emotion. And it's almost been this like, oh, I want to have this release, because after you cry, you feel so much better. And I know I did breath work for a while, and in the past, if any of you guys have done breath work, that's a great shift. So I'm going to have to bring that back in a bit. But even practicing Kundalini yoga, I didn't really get that effect from it. So I think, like I said, it's just a cycle. And right now I'm kind of going through and taking note and taking inventory of these things that I'm noticing over this past year with my body, even though I haven't been practicing. But this is all an example of something I'd like to share with you guys to kind of sink in a little bit deeper and notice for yourself where you feel like you're being held back, or different changes that you notice within your life. This correlates with the cycles, because the cycles can be more of situational occurrences or just different things that come up. Like I said, the relationships, the jobs, things that change, but then also sinking into it deeper energetically, where you may feel stuck or stagnant, or not really in your own energy field, but picking up on other people's energy. So this is all just questions that I wanted to share with you guys in different ways that you can relate to this work in your own way. And really the basis for all of this, and the safe all example for how to just level up your life, is some form of mindfulness, some form of meditation. Because whatever you're seeking, you can find within that practice, and there's a million different ways to do it, to have mindfulness. And whether you switch up your modalities, or you only spend 5 to 10 minutes a day just dedicating a certain amount of time to your life. And that's what my struggle has been, but I'm getting back to it, as everything is a cycle. So thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys listening, and I hope that this served you in some way and that you're able to relate to some of this. And I really want to hear what you guys are taking away. What did you relate to in this, and some of the cycles that you notice that are coming up again? So send me a DM. If you have a second and can leave me a review, that would be greatly appreciated. It really helps me out in the podcast world. And I'll be back soon. I'm looking forward to sharing more on my hypnosis QHHT journey with all of you guys. I think that's going to be my next episode. I'm going to share my session, and it was really moving and really introspective. So I can't wait to share that. And if you guys have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to share with me, and I will see you soon. Bye.